Hello, good evening, and welcome to the Villa Park podcast. It's me, Rich, and I'm here with Kev for what is usually Tuesday night is fans forum night, but we brought it forward a night to Monday. So just for a week, Monday night is fans forum night, but we've got plenty to talk about. Before we do, though, please hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. I mentioned it before on Talking Tactics. I think we're two, maybe three away from 4,600 subscribers. We know we're on the road to 5K. So please do like and subscribe and help us on the road to 5K. And if you do want to become a member, click the link at the top of the chat and you can become an official Villa Park Pod follower. As I said, Kev, great to see you, but we've got loads to talk about ticketing and the facilities, where Villa need to strengthen, particularly after the Arsenal game. And we'll have some reflections a couple of days later on that. But yeah, how are you doing, my friend?
All good, mate. All good, yeah. All good. Always loads to talk about in the Villaverse. So let's dive in.
Yes, absolutely. And of course, Fans Forum night, as you know, get your questions in, get your comments in. We will go through questions at the end, like at the end of the show, once we've talked about the main talking points that we've got. So any questions that you want to throw out there, Aston Villa related, please do. So after 2 days since the game, Kev, we did quite a big deep dive on Saturday night. Actually, we did the match reaction on the Saturday night, and then I guess not doing a show yesterday. I did talking tactics with Gareth earlier on today, and we talked about the obvious squad situation that we'll talk about a bit later, and maybe one or two players missing, but the I guess that position, that player that knits plays the through balls to Ollie Watkins or plays the through balls to a Leon Bailey or a midfielder running in behind, and whether we've actually got that creativity. And then that got us talking about, well, Tielemans is playing really well at the moment, and he's the Douglas Luiz replacement, if you like. Onana is the big main signing. Morgan Rogers is playing out of his skin at the moment. So if you are to bring in a player who can knit the midfield to the attack, play those through balls, that kind of leaves John McGinn as the potential player to miss out.
It does. So we kind of touched on this, I think, briefly the other night. And then obviously we talked about all of the positives of McGinn. And McGinn firing, I think McGinn firing it probably gets in the best Villa team because of, well, obviously captain, but when he's on it, he's at it. There's no other player like him, is there, in terms of the tenacity, getting the crowd going, obviously chipping in with goals here and there. But the point you make is absolutely valid. At the moment, you'd be looking at a situation where you're either changing the system that you play in and taking Bailey out, which I think is unlikely, or it's McGinn, because also a firing Ramsey, you'd
Mm,
argue whether McGinn would keep a firing Ramsey in that team, because if you've got Tielemans, Anana, Ramsey, Rogers, Bailey, Watkins, I mean that's pretty impressive if Ramsey's at it. So it's good to have these healthy headaches, but it is that position of the creator, and I think we've got it in little bits. I think McGinn can create. Tielemans clearly is, he's got a great eye for a pass. Rogers obviously put one on a plate for Watkins. Ironically, we talk about why we need to strengthen after Saturday. Striker, isn't it? Jokes.
yeah.
Um,
Mm,
but
mm.
we've got that in the team in terms of creativity. But that out and out unlock, unpick that lock type player, I think we've got a gap for it in the squad.
Yeah, and obviously, if the reports are to be believed, Felix was that main player that they were going after. I, I just, yeah, I know it's only 2 games in, and we played very well against West Ham, and we did create numerous chances in that game. We obviously created two big chances, two or three pretty good chances against Arsenal, as well as the ones that Ollie Watkins missed. But yeah, I do think that there's there's elements, and we touched on it. Watkins, McGinn, and Bailey probably are about 80 to 85%, if that at the moment. Maybe Watkins is probably 60, 70%. So you've got to think if they're operating at 100%, then that's a different story in itself, isn't it?
Well, it is, but then, and listen, I'm not one to criticise Unai Emery, but are you losing much if those percentages are correct? Maybe they're not, but you get my point, right? If they're off it a little bit, are you losing much starting Duran, Ramsey, and Philogene? You know what I mean? If you've got players that are, or, I don't know, Barkley, Ramsey, Duran, whatever. Because at this level, if you want to beat Arsenal, then you need as many players as you can who are on top form. We've got no doubt Watkins is going to come good. Goes without saying, really. I can't even believe he's getting any kind of sort of criticism at all based on what he's done. Sure, the Euros was a massive high for him, and he needs to deliver on the back of that this season. So there probably is a bit more pressure expectation. I think I was talking about this on Sky earlier on. Like, that's probably a valid point. But at the weekend, I think it was those sort of experienced leader type players that probably let us down a little bit. Obviously, Martinez didn't have his best game in terms of, you could argue, could have done better for the second goal. You could argue possibly the first, but it was a good finish. It wasn't like two thunderbolts, was it? From close in.
No, he was
Um,
going the other way, wasn't he? Yes, yeah,
yeah, probably a bit
definitely
harsh
the
for that.
second goal,
Yeah,
definitely.
and then you've got McGinn, you've got Watkins, and you've got Bailey. Those four players didn't really, you know, perform.
Yeah. The other thing that Gareth has noticed, and I guess if you look at the chances in both games, is we're aiming to go through the middle quite a lot, and the running power of Morgan Rogers with the ball. Obviously, looking at John McGinn in those central areas as well. Leon Bailey cutting in from the right onto his left foot. And that maybe later on when Ian Matson gets up to speed, fully up to speed, maybe he will take over Luca Dean in that position and really bomb on down that left hand side. But we haven't really seen too much of players going around the outside, and then consequently, we haven't seen too many players getting in the box. Obviously there was the goal that Duran scored, which was one ball across, one touch from Matson, one touch from uh, Ramsey, and then in from Duran. However, there hasn't been too much of that, and there hasn't been too many players getting in the box.
Yeah, and Bailey's not quite the Bailey of last season so far, is he? I don't know if he's still back to full fitness after the injury he was carrying. Whether it's been, exertions over the summer, whatever, but I don't know, like, he's not that. And then the only other option you got really wide player wise is Philogene. So it's not like we've got loads of inform wide players available to do that, really. And when you've got someone of the efficacy of Morgan Rogers at the moment, and Ramsey, I thought was good when he came on against West Ham, and then, I mean, Morgan Rogers at the moment is looking like that's the only route to go. But as we know, you want to vary it. You were right. We did score a nice goal working it out to the left hand side against West Ham. Obviously, that was sparkling football. Set piece, obviously, for the other goal. And the chances we created, actually, the main chances we created at the weekend, there was obviously a great press and hustle to get the ball back from, I think it was Gabriel.
Mm.
Rogers played in Watkins, and then the other one was actually quite a nice move, wasn't it? Where it was laid across to an Arna deflected shot. So I do think we've still got a bit of variety there, but I just feel like at the moment our attack is a little bit blunt. Probably we haven't got, if you look at the amount of players that Chelsea have got, and they win 6-2 at the weekend. They've probably got about 3 or 4 players that probably get in our squad that aren't even in their squad, kind of get their bench. And, I just think we are lacking something. And I think it's more other than just the options. I actually think it's probably that sense of what that signing does for the club, the Felix type signing. But the closer we get towards the transfer window, I'm wondering whether it's going to happen.
Yeah, yeah, no, and I do think when Bailey gets fully fit, we will see him going around that outside a little bit more. That sharpness will come back, and he will be able to go both sides, and that's where he really causes the damage to defenders. And we will see hopefully Matson, because that's not Luka Dean's game necessarily, is it? He'll play crosses that are from kind of that area on the edge, from the edge of the box, maybe just slightly further forward or further back towards our own half, and then curve it around to players running onto it. It wasn't necessarily get to the byline. I'd like to see Matson maybe do that a bit more, and just then it gives that a little bit more time for maybe a Onana or a Tielemans to actually make a late run into the box, because getting bodies in the box is what it's all about. If you only got
Yeah.
one or two players to aim at, you're really struggling, particularly against some of the huge centre backs that you play against now in the Premier League.
Yeah, you are. And look, I think most teams are going to struggle against Arsenal. Everyone's seen
Yeah, of course.
surely
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
stats on their away record. The last 10 games, whatever, they've won 9, drawn 1, scored 30 goals, conceded 3. So they're as difficult as any team right now, probably in the Premier League, to play home or away. But you've got to give yourself the best chance, haven't you? And look, we'll look back on that game, and the analogy has been used a hell of a lot. It's a flip of literally, them losing to us last season in terms of them
yeah.
having the chances and a week long on and vice versa. Um, but it does also still feel like a little bit of a missed opportunity, because when you get those
Yeah,
kind
and
of
I don't think this game in particular makes these issues any more stark or not. I think we would have been saying this anyway. Like, we know the positions that we need to improve, and we know maybe some of those attacking options either need to be bedded in, or we need to try and obtain more of them. We know that already. So I don't think this is kind of an overreaction after this game. It is. This is the situation that we're in at the moment. We've got a really strong squad of midfielders, but we haven't necessarily got a strong squad of creators
attackers. Yeah.
and strikers. And then my final point on this game is Matty Cash now out for a month. Kostin Nedeljkovic is going to be either he was brought on, which says a hell of a lot about what the situation with Diego Carlos is. Is Kostin Nedeljkovic the man to carry the torch?
Well, watch this space, but you would say an 18-year-old with, probably, what, an hour, maybe 80 minutes worth of Premier League experience is probably not the answer. He's probably a very good support option. And we know we've got the links to the final right back here through but it feels like these links have been going out since now for a month or two. Um, However we discuss the options we've got moving forward, the options we've got midfield, whatever it might be, the point is absolutely that we are lacking forward attacking options still. Because if you look at what we've got, a firing Bailey and Watkins, okay, great, brilliant. But if they're not firing, what are your other options? There is more and more the noise going to be coming that Diaby and Luiz's goals are missing. The more and more we have situations where we are profligate in front of goal like we were against Arsenal. And I think the thing is with any football fan base, but the Villa fan base will be absolutely up there. If we were to lose, I don't know, 2-0 at Leicester and miss a couple of chances, then it would be, what have we done? Oh, we've missed an opportunity. It'll go crazy.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
we've got a chance to fix it before the window shuts, but uh, it's like, is this bus going to turn up, or do I need to walk type situation? And I really hope. I really hope there is someone there. Remember when Mings was at that video of him at the train station?
yeah.
Yeah, I
Waiting on
want
the
to.
phone.
I want to see
Yeah.
a right back and an attacking midfielder getting off the train basically at Aston. Um, and doesn't even seem to be many rumours kicking around.
Not really, not really. We'll get in. Let's get into it. But yeah, I mean, look, I'm not absolutely not being like on a negative or anything. So anyone after who's watching this afterwards, please don't say that I'm being negative again or all this kind of stuff. Like, please watch all the content that we do across the week. It was a very positive performance, and I was really pleased that we matched Arsenal all the way. This is reflecting on the situation that we've been talking about for weeks and weeks and weeks. In that there are one or two positions in the squad that seem to be we seem to be missing at the moment in terms of that depth. And in a lot of ways, the goal scoring department is obviously the most important. And then secondly to that is probably defensively as well. You probably you need to have options at the back. So we've already thought about this right back or right centre back, and Adamski says there we need hair treader, we need him, and but he's still captain at Feyenoord, so I don't know if that will get done. Like that seems like it would need to be a good few weeks job rather than just throw a bid in and just take him, unless there's deals that are being done elsewhere. There's the attacking midfield option that we're talking about. There's maybe a centre back if you go for an orthodox right back. There's probably another wide player as well. And people in the chat saying we've got two. We could still make two loan sign-ins. So yes, we do need someone that we can pronounce as well, Gary. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Hopefully, if we do sign him, he'll do that thing where he stands in front of the camera and explains how you
Yeah, it
pronounce
says
his
his
name.
name.
But yeah, I mean, what's your thoughts on who we could and should sign?
Well, uh, I've talked a lot about Munchie and his little black book, of contacts and stuff that's going on. Um, and we did a lot of great business early again, didn't we? And then it's like we've said many times, there is always going to be the various machinations of the transfer window, and people need to move on, and that's that domino effect, and someone needs to leave that club to leave that club to leave that club. Um, but there are a lot of unanswered questions, and more unanswered questions than we would like. And hey, we're not the only team in this situation.
Of
Liverpool
course,
fans, Liverpool fans are baying for a sign in. Chelsea fans are baying to not make any more signings. It's one every day, isn't it? I still can't believe they've been linked with more players today, Jadon Sancho and Osimhen and all sorts, right? Um, this is going to happen for a lot of clubs in terms of what's going on. But there are things that Villa fans have been saying for a long time. Right back's been a topic of conversation before
we
Cash's
we have
injury.
said we have said on this podcast for months and months and months that we need more presence and more physical presence in midfield, and they did
They did
listen.
listen. They did listen
Monchi
finally.
listened to us, so we're
Yeah, he did.
telling you now, Unai and Monchi, we need a right back or a right centre back, someone who can play both positions, and we need an attacking midfielder who
Yeah.
can create goals.
Uh,
Can you
uh,
please do it?
Yeah,
Get them.
give me a call, Monchi. Quickly. Um, do you think with the whole obviously Ealing Junior, we can discuss shortly, the rumours about Baranachea maybe going out on loan. Do you think they're waiting to make room in the squad? Like there's not enough seats on the bus, so to speak, in terms of getting these players in. And I think that's maybe the thing that's the hold up to get rid of a couple more of these players. Perhaps
Possibly. I mean,
there's been no takers.
Dendonker's, yeah,
But no
Dendonker's
takers for
still there.
Dendonka. Maybe you need to get Baranachea out.
Moreno's gone out on loan. Uh, Illing Junior is going to go to Bologna. If Baranachea goes out, I think there's another Italian club interested in him. But I mean, that tells you all you need to know about the signings of those players that were made in the window to satisfy PSR. Lewis Dobbins gone on loan to West Brom.
Yeah.
Illing Junior's gone on loan to Bologna, and it looks like Baranachea is going to go on loan to another club. It's like that tells you everything you need to know about the rules.
It does, and Barkley's obviously not really featured much. The only player we've basically bought is Anana and Matson. That's it.
Yeah,
It felt
yeah.
like we bought loads of players. It may well be that those players are going to be money making objects, and we make a bit of money on them, and they do well in Serie A this season. But yeah, we are Champions League. We'd like to see a couple of players in that are going to trouble the first team. Come on, Villa, pull your finger out. Thing is, they've got a lot of things to fix, both inside the ground,
Yeah,
facilities, ticket in.
yeah. We'll come to
That's a
that
separate.
later.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely, we will. Yeah, but that's a separate department. This is the Monchi, Vidagani, Emery department, and on the pitch, generally, it's pretty good. The performance against Arsenal, let's be clear, was positive. We've said that, but it's just missing. And for me, it's the opportunity that we've got right now. Go out, do what you need to do. We've not spent loads of money net, have we? Really, in terms of what's happened, there must be bandwidth to bring somebody in, and we've got Champions League football. I mean, I heard something. I do. I am actually surprised about this when I see some of the links that Chelsea have got. And I saw something about Osimhen wanting to wait because he wants to play Champions League football, whatever, and see whether like
He wants
PSG or
half a
whatever.
million a week, though.
Well, yeah, okay, put him to one side. But any players that might be interested, we've got surely the carrot of Champions League to dangle to get someone that we want to get.
Yeah. You don't realise how low in the pecking order Aston Villa are. Yes, we've got the more reputation with Emery, and yes, we've got Champions League football, but in terms of the radar and these players, like these players are 24, 25, 26. That Villa are not there yet. Absolutely not. And not being in London has a huge, huge, huge impact. So it's making it's selling the club, and hopefully if we can get European football again in some shape or form next season, hopefully if we can get 2 or 3 really good results in the Champions League this season, that will increase our reputation. But
Or
all
or
these big players, it's we're not a like this is the reality, right? We can talk about how much we feel about the club, but I'm talking about how like a top player would think about it.
yeah, but you see players going to Manchester, going to Newcastle.
Man United's a completely different animal,
I know, but yeah,
and Man City.
yeah. Maybe
Yeah,
we need HS2 to be built ASAP.
yeah, 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 yeah. I know it sounds stupid, but that type of stuff,
Mm.
you could get to London in like an hour, half an hour. Yeah, it would open up everything. But anyway, we digress. Adamsi says, "What has happened with Hermoso?" And this is exactly the question I was going to ask. He's still, I believe, available on a free, and he's a highly rated Champions League defender. What's happened with him? Because Clement Longley has gone to Atletico Madrid today on loan. So why haven't we gone in for Hermoso?
Well, I can only think it's because of Tyrone Mings, and
Yeah.
it is his sort of his rehabilitation being decent, because obviously if he's a left-sided centre back, can also cover left back. Well, we've had Moreno, Digne, Matson. Moreno's obviously gone to Forest. If you've got Mings back, I mean, initially Longley was to cover Mings, wasn't he? Because Mings obviously got injured. So if Mings is maybe imminent, they're thinking, do we want to? I'm looking at thinking, do they want to tie up a loan signing? The point about the loan signings being available is very, very valid. We've not got.
Yes.
We had Zaniolo and obviously Clement Longley last season. There is a room for the club to bring in someone, whether it's straight loan with option to buy, whatever. And that's usually a higher profile player, isn't it?
Oh yeah, yeah. And look, those type of things are done towards the end of a window, especially when there are players out in the market who are desperate to get into a club. So that could be the game that they play. I did want to come to Lucas said we're being a bit harsh. We have Ramsey, Rogers, Buendia, and it's the second game of the season. The positive thing is we're creating chances and the goals will come. I've got no doubt that the goals will come. Absolutely not. It's just like we've said. There's Buendia, has he? I really like him to be in that position. Could he be the player that comes into that position? And then someone asked, who do we take out of the squad to? I think James said, who do we take out the match day squad to get them in? A good loan works for all. That may well be the case, but I mean, as the full 25-man squad hasn't been announced yet, has it?
I don't think it has, no.
So you've got to think that they'll shift Dendonka, or maybe he stays now. Maybe Illing Jr. is the one who's going. Maybe Brian Che is the one who's going because they can't get rid of Leander Dendonka.
Yeah, well, on the bench at the weekend, right, we had Barkley, Buendia. I'll just go outfield, right?
Yeah.
Uh, Barkley, Buendia, Duran, Matson, Nedeljkovic, Philogene, Ramsey, Carlos. You could see a situation where Philogene's maybe not in the squad if you've got a better option. Maybe Buendia's not in the squad if you've got a better option. Arguably, possibly Barkley for some games. You need your cover. I mean, cash out, Nedeljkovic is going to go in the team. He might be out of the team if you've potentially obviously got a head through to kicking around, whatever. So there's possibly, if you're going to be really, just cutthroat, there's room to get. Yeah, we'll have a chat about Grealish. Yeah, we're definitely going to talk about Grealish. We're going to talk about Benny McCarthy, Janino. Um,
every every show he
yeah,
gets mentioned.
and then we'll talk about who's better out of Emery and Arteta. Yeah, no. I think if you obviously are going to be the team that you want to be, then you've got some decisions to make.
Yeah.
Um, but look, I get the point. It's second game of the season. Let's not get carried away. I think the point that Luca made there about some of those players, great. But I do question whether any of them have proved themselves in the Champions League and the upper echelons of the Premier League. We think that absolutely Rodgers is going to be the greatest player in the world by the looks of it at the moment. He's getting in a team of the week in a game where he's lost.
Oh,
Which is
he was phenomenal. He was phenomenal. Uh,
mm,
he was just brilliant. And look, all he just needs to add to that little bit is, well, I mean, I said to Gareth, he laid it on a plate for Ollie Watkins, so that would have been a straight up assist straight away.
yeah,
But again, what I'm saying is goals, assists to go with those marauding runs. I mean, some of the runs he was making the other day reminded me of Daly and Atkinson against
yeah,
Wimbledon when players were
brushing
just
them
like
off.
brushing off. Yeah, yeah. All he needs was the little chip at
What
the
I love,
end, and
what what I love about it is also it's that the fact he doesn't really care who's coming. It's like just literally, one point he just stood still, didn't he? Like he was
yeah, he just said, "Come on, then."
the
Yeah.
arrogance of that. Normally in football, you're trying to get ahead of the player. So you're trying to do some kind of skill or fake to get past them. So you've got momentum, you're ahead of them. He was well ahead of Party. He's almost like he waited for him. Come on then, see what you can do. Wrapping his fingers, bosh, and carry on his run. I do wonder sometimes where the exertions gets taken out of him so much from beating all these, beating these players. He said beating these players off.
That's a whole different ball game. That.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Um, from keeping these players off him, that sometimes I wonder whether he's got a little bit of fatigue when he has to put in that final ball or
Oh
get the shot
yeah, yeah, yeah. I
off.
mean, it was something like 7 successful dribbles out of 7. Now, we said this on the other night. It's hard enough to do 3 or 4 in a game, as well as all the other running that you're doing, but to be running at full speed from your own penalty box or inside your own half to the opposition penalty box,
Yeah.
with 2 or 3 players trying to tackle you and you're holding them off. That's yeah, he would have been he would have been shattered.
Well,
Loads of people in the chat saying senior England call up
yeah.
for him.
Well, that that,
Yeah.
that first run that he did, against Arsenal, that when the ball came in the box, it was a little bit of a roll, wasn't it? Like he didn't quite catch. And I wonder whether that's just an example of that. Where if he didn't fizz it in and maybe get the deflection or pick someone out, it was just a bit of a, dribbling ball.
Yeah. Yeah. Rob says, "Can Rogers and Ramsey play together?" I would really like to see that.
I think
And
so.
I maybe if I ran the game back. I mean, if I was Unai, I might maybe have taken Bailey off on Saturday and put Ramsey on that right hand side,
Mm, yeah, I actually think that would have been a really good
and I would
call.
have probably kept McGinn on. I know you said he was going a bit quiet, but for me, I thought he was rattling.
Mm,
He was getting in amongst it, and he was kind of rattling Ben White, and he's just a bit intimidating at times. I thought we lost a bit of that nastiness when he went off.
yeah.
I would
The,
have probably kept him on for another 10 minutes and maybe changed it later on and brought Ross Barkley on or whatever.
the other thing that you could do is you don't need to have the two in midfield in terms of Tielemans and Onana.
Yeah,
And potentially in some games you sacrifice a Tielemans,
yeah,
um, n- because you've got Onana sitting. You're a better team in terms of quality and ball retention, and then you've got the option to play a Ramsey maybe if you're trying to attack a bit more.
yeah. I mean, Adam said we're not seeing it, and I don't think we have. I think we probably seen him play off the left, haven't we?
Yeah,
But I mean, him and Roger could have probably interchanged positions a little bit. But if you see how quick he is at running with the ball, I think he would have given them a decent, especially as Nedeljkovic was on that side against Trossard, and I think had maybe Ramsey been able to pick up the ball deeper, he would have got us territory, like running with the ball. So I don't know, maybe that could have been an option, but obviously he didn't do it.
I think in modern football though, like look, clearly some players prefer to play in certain positions, but the players often interchange, don't they?
Yeah,
More and more than ever now, you're seeing. Look at the advent in recent years of the fullback pressing into midfield.
yeah.
I'm sure Matson will do a lot of that. Arsenal players doing it. Man City have done that obviously brilliantly. You see sometimes like what's his name? The guy I've got in my dream team. What's his name? The one who couldn't stop scoring goals. Um, City plays left back. What's his name?
Gvardiol.
Guardiola. That's the one. Yeah, Guardiola. Like he's often playing like
Yeah,
basically
yeah, yeah. I mean,
beyond the
yeah.
striker, and
Well,
that is.
all their defenders step into midfield at various opportunities
Yeah.
anyway.
So I do think that modern football now, you've got the ability to be adaptive with it. I just look at it and think, like, what's going to be most effective. And I love the confidence they've probably got in some of these players. But, one of the ones we didn't mention earlier was in terms of the players that have actually made an impact on the first team. And look, it's a long season. So maybe Berenchier does stay around. And I predicted him to be like
I like him.
the young
Yeah.
star of the season. But Philigine's another one. Does he fully trust Philogene yet to come on and impact the game? Because for me, it was a clear change of Bailey at some point in that second half. I like that he's been brave and taken off Watkins and McGinn early on, and obviously it worked out brilliantly against West Ham because we went on to win the game. But I do wonder whether if you're not bringing on Philogene for Bailey, then what's your plan? I don't know.
Yeah, I think
He knows
the
what he's doing.
Nedeljkovic substitution had a bit to do with that, but yeah, I take your point definitely. Linky said Ollie is knackered, needs a rest. Best thing for him, pray it isn't before an injury comes up. And I said this in the chat with the podcast lads. I wouldn't be surprised, and I wouldn't be surprised to see this with a number of players for these Nations League call ups to get an injury in and around this game to have the 2 weeks off. And I would not be surprised if that isn't Ollie Watkins. And I think this squad is an ideal opportunity for the likes of Morgan Rogers,
I agree.
Madwecki as well. Some of these younger players who have started the season quite well. Some of the players who didn't feature much at all in the England setup. Maybe Solanke, if he can shake off his injury, maybe he gets a call up. Because yeah, I think a number of these players won't be called up, and I think Ollie Watkins will really benefit from the additional rest.
Solanke's out for about a month apparently, so maybe
Oh,
not for him.
maybe not then.
But
Yeah,
yeah, no, I totally agree. I think you can see a situation where, the Cole Palmer, Saka, Watkins type players, maybe, might end up having to get Sterling back in the squad. Madison might get a look in, Grealish might get a look in because he might be lacking players. Um, you can clearly see that the exertions of the summer, he's not quite the player he was, is he, at the moment, Watkins? And if you think about it now, in hindsight, it's probably a bit of a surprise that he started both the games based on obviously how he's been. Obviously,
yeah.
got himself in the positions, but other than that, I don't think his play was particularly good. And obviously, the finishing wasn't great.
No, and Carly mentioned in the chat there before saying, do we think? Well, James said Ollie will want to make up for it Saturday. He starts, and Carly said I think Duran may start for Leicester. What are early indications, early thoughts around Saturday? What do you think?
Well, I think with the fact that it's an international break, then isn't there after that? So we've got
Yes,
obviously Leicester is the 31st, and then the next match we've got is 14th of September.
14th.
So I think
Yeah,
with the
against
fact there's
Everton.
an international break, he'll probably start Watkins again. And then maybe we just withdraw him again for Duran if the game isn't going the way you want it to go.
Yeah, I don't think Watkins doesn't start. I think like James said, I think he'll probably want to make up for it, and we'll all be absolutely buzzing anyway. So look, that'll come into it. But in terms of rounding up on terms of players, I think we know the positions. I just think it's one of those. We're hoping that a couple of loan deals are maybe done or something comes out of the blue, Kev, because there hasn't been anything really that's been in the news or been on the rumor mill or anything. I mean, sometimes it shows you that these rumors are just absolute rubbish anyway. Unless they're like just fed to the journalist. Most of the time, it is hearsay and it is just gossip and rumor, isn't it? There's never
Mhm.
anything to like 99% of these rumors.
Yeah, I almost feel like I want to start like at the end of the season, start like a different X account, call it like some sort of transferinfo.com, whatever, and then just see how many of them you can bullshit your way through to get correct, and then like almost do like a little bit of a documentary on it afterwards. To say, oh, actually, I made up all these rumors, and weirdly, loads of them were right. Quick point, actually. To be fair, PJJ made a good point actually about total football with the Dutch team. Yeah, changing positions isn't a modern thing. I guess my point there was that in recent years we haven't seen it as much, but from a classic football philosophy perspective, absolutely. Rinus Michels and that team of Cruyff, etc., etc., were were unbelievable at doing that in terms of the total football era of the 70s. I
Yeah,
just think
yeah.
we've just not seen it as much, probably have we in the 90s and 2000s, being a situation where your left back all of a sudden is playing up top effectively.
No, no, and look, football goes round in cycles. I mean, you look at the bigger teams now playing with these, four centre backs almost at times across the back line. Martin O'Neill used to do that, very rigid. Although these ones now, there's at least one that steps into midfield to make the extra man. Teams playing with this false nine. There used to be teams that did that back in the day, like years ago. So it'll come back around, and 4-4-2 will become fashionable again with a big man, little man up front. It all goes around in cycles, but yeah, we're still thinking probably these one or two positions, and hopefully we get some movement out of the club because there's probably still one or two players to go out and then movement in. Just a quick one, just before we move on. Do you feel like there'll be any big bids coming in for any players?
But there's been a couple of tentative rumours about Watkins, hasn't there, to Arsenal? I saw again a couple of things today. I can't see us entertaining anything now based on what we've already done with I think Diaby was the big one that they probably didn't factor in, but they took the opportunity for it. So you can bid away, but I don't think, and look at the contracts as well with Watkins, Martinez, Konza, who else is there up for grabs? I can't see anybody that we want to keep leaving at all.
Yeah,
I'd say that quite confidently right now. The issue is those big wage earners, like from the Purslow era. I think someone put it in the comments earlier, but obviously then Donker, Dina hurts us a bit, still in terms of his wages, but obviously his quality on the pitch. They're the ones that have caused issues. Coutinho obviously has been at the club for a few years, and that's obviously affecting us. And of course, as well, when you do these deals that we've done and you're buying these players for PSR, you're adding players to your squad. So then you've got more work to do to try and get those players out, which is probably stuff you wouldn't normally have had to do. Like you made the point earlier on, Rich. If you're going to have to get Dobbin out, Berenachea out, Illing Junior out. Well, you've only just signed those players. You don't expect to have to like move out so quickly, do you? But this is literally the nature of modern football now, that we've had to play these crazy games to get around PSR.
yeah, yeah. I've got a few comments that have come in on our X page, so I'll read them shortly. We've got or nearly 250 watching across X and YouTube. So thank you very much for your support. Please hit that like button and hit the subscribe button if you're on YouTube, and follow us at Villa Park Pod and at KTAVFC on X. And I just want to shout out our sponsors, Football Prizes. You've only got a few more days to get in to purchase your ticket to potentially win a signed and framed Esri concert shirt. The ticket price has actually gone down from £3.95 to £3.16. And the competition also features 15 instant win prizes, including the chance to win signed and framed shirts from Ollie Watkins and Jacob Ramsey. You've got till Thursday, the 29th of August at 7:30 p.m. and the draw is made on Friday, the 30th of August, live on Facebook at 8:30. Fantastic prize. Obviously, one of our best players, fully signed and framed and fully verified as well with a certificate of authenticity. So a great prize. I will put the link in the description, and I will put a post out on X as well. But it's footballprizes.co.uk. Search for the concert, Esri concert competition, and buy your ticket for a chance to win. So, Kev, let's talk about before the game at Aston Villa. The full fanfare was reported about, the tunnel, and there was social media pictures going out on social media about that. There was pictures about this new lounge that's going to be ready for the Everton game. There was obviously the new club shop that opened a couple of weeks before. And then there was other rumblings about these digital season tickets that was delayed and delayed and delayed to be sent out. That ended up being, I think, Wednesday or Thursday they got sent out. Obviously, not leaving many people with a lot of time and a lot of instruction about how to download these season tickets onto Google Wallets. Many people have season tickets with their family members, their children. There wasn't many instructions about how to download the tickets on the same phone for their child. We go to the game. Obviously, people saying get there early to avoid the queues and congestion. I was getting pictures. I was getting videos at 20 past 4 after people had got into the queue. Sorry, 20 past 5 after people had got into the queue at 3 o'clock. Some people still not in the ground, still queuing. There was issues where the lower Holt end, they didn't open the turnstiles up. I don't know if that was to do with like security not turning up, but an absolute farce in terms of the ticketing situation, and it's not a good look.
It's it's not good enough. There's no way that you can sugarcoat this. I mean, I haven't got a season ticket this season. Tough for everyone out there. Particularly obviously with the prices going up. But when I did have a season ticket in recent years, I certainly made my feelings clear to the club about just things I just don't think are good enough. I don't care for me like what's going on the pitch, off the pitch. It certainly means you get less grumbles when everything's going really well. But there is a basic level of expectation you should get from a service. And I have actually felt sometimes some of the service issues I felt have been because of the people that they use. I think they get people sometimes that are clearly not good enough for the job, but they've got I don't know what their way of doing the recruitment is fully, but they get roped into catering contracts with people. They'll send people that are, not full-time catering workers who, don't even know how to pour a pint and that kind of stuff. Right. That's one thing. But this is somebody a bit more higher up in terms of the operations, planning, logistics in the club. You don't need to be a rocket scientist to work out that it would have been probably a good idea to make sure that all of these thousands of fans know what they're doing beforehand. And I think I heard it on, might have been the Claret and Blue pod. They might mention that maybe it would have been a good idea to possibly do an open training session or possibly do a home pre-season game to test it out, which is a great idea because it's just not acceptable. Particularly when the prices have gone up, particularly when a lot of fans have been priced out of it, when they're expanding the corporate areas, you do not want a situation where more and more and I'm not debating anyone's love for Villa, whether they're, high end hospitality or, the cheapest seats. But when what's seen as being the common man or woman or child is being pushed aside to push the club forward to increase revenues, they can't even open the bloody doors on time, and it's just a fiasco. I do wonder whether that VAR issue was actually an issue when they just dragged it out a little bit to let more people get into the ground. I wonder whether
Maybe
it was a bit of a, oh god, just say something's gone on with VAR because we've absolutely screwed it up here.
the other thing as well, it's maybe there was that Carly mentioned about security staff didn't turn up and things like that. Well, that again is a logistics issue. That's an organizational issue. But in terms of the tickets, we know that people don't like change. That's just a human nature situation. We know that there are all ages, all levels of technological familiarity. So why not send out a video,
Oh,
like
exactly.
a tutorial of how to do it? Why not send out a step by step leaflet, like PDF file that you would get with the season ticket that says this is how you do it step by step by step. And then not only that, once you've sent through a tutorial video, you've sent through a fact sheet or an FAQ sheet, then actually if people do need to ring up the ticket office, then answer the phone, because there was people again on Twitter that were saying, I can't get through to the ticket office. I don't know what's going on.
Well,
Like, just crazy.
the point you're making there around sending a PDF out or a video, Rachel's put it in the comments, Michael's put it in the comments. But for me, it's all about communication, and the communication is not acceptable. And right now, like this has happened on Saturday night. If you're a proper club in terms of being on top of these issues, you probably put a statement out on Saturday night. It's possible if you really wanted to. I don't give a shit. It's a bank holiday weekend. It doesn't matter. Like, be better. You want to be an elite global sports.
What happens if we get in the Champions League?
Absolutely, yeah. And there's you got
Well,
fans of Bayern
sorry,
Munich.
we are in the Champions League. Sorry, I'll
Yeah, and you
rephrase the
got Bayern
question.
Munich fans
What happens on the
walking
Champions
around.
League night and this happens?
Yeah, Bayern Munich fans walking around in their own piss. Like, it's not a
Well,
good look, is it?
that's the next point in the second.
Yeah.
But just yeah, yeah. Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, this is, and you're getting more media coverage, and this is not the kind of thing that we need to be talking about. We should be talking about Morgan Rogers. We should be talking about, Ramsey's back from injury, and how we went toe to toe with Arsenal, aren't we unlucky? But actually, this is now overshadowing some of the really good stuff.
yeah,
It's you know what the thing gets me as well, and I'm going to go on a little bit of a rant here, all right, generally. So strap in, everybody. But I think that in the modern world, here we go, soapbox time. I just think people care a bit less about, and that's why customer service I think has gone down quite a bit, because you see a lot of situations. I hate my bank the other day. I wanted to speak to a manager, and they told me, well, I can request a manager call back, but I can't guarantee it'll happen. I was like, what are you talking about? Like, you'll ask if someone could call me back, but you can't guarantee it's going to happen. I went, am I like in some episode of Black Mirror? Like, what's happening? And I do think generally people are a bit more meh about a lot of things.
it's transactional rather than
Exactly, it's cared about, and I do wonder
relationship.
whether the club now are thinking, well, we've got the ticket sales, we've got a system. It's an imperfect system. They've got the money to spend to fix it. If the security staff aren't turning up, for me, pay a bit more cash to the agency that want to get the security staff and get the best people. You want to be seen as the premier sports team in probably in between Manchester and London. So you got to act like it now. And this kind of stuff is crap. It should not be happening. Ticketing should be smooth. It should be simple. It's 2024. We've got technology. They've got deep pockets. Hire more staff. Send better communications. Make sure that the paying public know what's going on. It's on them, and
Yeah. Well,
it's rubbish.
they're quick enough to put a photo out of the players in training, or all the positive stuff like that. That's brilliant. That's great. But then to get these basics right, and the other thing as well, they're missing out on, because all these people couldn't get in the ground. Then they're missing out on extra money on people buying a pint or
Yeah.
food in the ground and everything like that. So they probably lost a lot of money doing that
Yeah,
as well.
I'd love someone somewhere to come out and say, "Oh God, we were nearly signing Alex Boina on a transfer deadline day, but we were 3 points and four and four pies short of being able to pay for it. And if only we got the gates open 10 minutes earlier." I mean, obviously, it won't make a massive difference, but the point is still the same. They're missing out on a fair bit of cash. Also, people could be in the club shop, couldn't they, spending money instead of being in the queue? So that there is an opportunity for the club here, and but the biggest thing for me is if it happens and it's terrible, why not a video from Chris Heck or someone at the clinic, the club on a Saturday night saying, listen, we're really sorry.
You'll get
I
fixed. Yeah.
I think one of the biggest things, back on the soapbox again, one of the biggest things that happens in any kind of customer service situation, when someone resolves it, what you find is it's not often that they'll sprinkle some magic beans and grow a beanstalk for you. They'll probably just do what they said they were going to do. And if they didn't do it, they'll say, hey, sorry, didn't do what we said we were going to do. We hear you, we care, and we're going to fix it now. And that's half the battle most of the times. They've not done anything of the sort. Just bloody talk about it, acknowledge it. And all Villa fans, I think, will go, you know what, not good enough, but the
Yeah.
club are listening, they're going to fix it. And
And
we have to
and
be the
yeah,
ones that have to
yeah,
defend the club.
yeah. And look, I hope someone from the club's watching this. I hope they've watched Claret and Blue. I hope they've listened to Dan Bardell, because he's said a lot of stuff on X. I hope they've listened to my old man said as well, because it ain't good enough. It's not good enough. And also, I'm not even started on the toilet facilities. The videos on that's just horrific. Again, for a Premier League football club, and I know there are issues with the ground and all that kind of stuff and wanting to make improvements, but you got to get the basics right, man. And people walking around in with urine on the floor and all that, it's just not good enough.
Yeah, it's not. I mean, I have heard people saying like people like having sneaky fags and putting fag butts and chewing gum and stuff doesn't help the urinal flow, which probably does make a bit of sense.
No.
But I ain't seeing this at. I'm sure this is not happening at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. I haven't seen it happen at Wembley. Um, so, I mean, yeah, it'd be great to get an update. Wouldn't it? Obviously, if that has happened, what's going on? Cheers, Rach. Yeah, I mean, look, this. Well, the thing is with this, right? It's a snowball effect, isn't it? You get one urinal overflow somewhere, you put it down to a plumbing issue, it's not a problem. You've got a situation where there's been a fiasco with tickets, loads of empty seats for ages, fans stressed, not knowing what's
Yeah,
going on.
yeah, 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 yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah,
lucky that it wasn't absolutely tipping it down, or it wasn't 32 degrees, which it could have easily been in the middle of August, because that would have been would have had people fainting in the queue and all sorts. And when you've got staff that are not good enough to control that situation around, then it's a recipe for disaster. And this is that new world we're trying to go into now. You've got to make sure that you're ready for it. So when you add to that, that is the classic example of, and I was on hold for too long, and the person was rude to me. So, the thing is with this, it's easy issues to fix. It's
yeah,
easy issues to fix. So communicate it and fix them.
yeah. You're right. I mean, people paid a lot of money there, 70 pound plus with the kids as well. But you're right in what you're saying. Like, it's a snowball effect, isn't it? Because had people got in early and had a few pints and been relaxed, and even if Villa would have won, people would have probably put that to one side in terms of the facilities. But because things already started off on a downer, those things just get magnified later on down the line. And we know
Yeah.
about the North Stand, we know about the Doug Ellis Stand, that they haven't had the best facilities, and we know that there are issues to be made. But I guess when it's the facade, isn't it? It's like the Wizard of Oz when you pull back the curtain and it's just a little guy. Like, it's the same thing. It's like we've got all these the cells, and then we've got the terrace view, and we've got all these other, we've got the lower grounds that are these
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
match day experiences that are amazing, and all this kind of stuff. We've got the 1874 lounge that is getting all the attention, and then where still the vast majority of supporters are, and they're now asked to be paying between 70 and £100 for a ticket, and they can't get in to get a pint, and they can't go to the toilet properly. It shows you that kind of behind the facade, behind the curtain, everything isn't where it needs to be.
Yeah, and the disappointing thing about it for me is I've got like a weird little kind of, one of my many weird little things that I say, but yeah, sorry for being a bit odd, everybody. Is I use this like little analogy of, I call it the dodgy foreign airport syndrome. So I'm not naming any particular airports, right? But sometimes when you're abroad somewhere and you're hungry and you realize you've got one place to go to, and if you don't like the shit sandwiches, then SARS, but you're either eating the shit sandwiches or you're having nothing to eat, because you're a captive audience, aren't you? You get my point? Like, you're in that area, that departure lane, your flight's been delayed for 2 hours. Look, you get a good, nice modern airport with loads of options, but sometimes you're in a situation where you've got very basic facilities, you've got nowhere else to go. I do worry sometimes whether Villa are a little bit like, well, we're massive, we've got 18,000 on the I don't think they are willingly, deliberately wanting the service to be bad, but I wonder whether the speed of fixing some of these things is exacerbated by the fact, as in, like, it's not as expedited as it should be, because they know that we're massive and we've got loads of fans that want to come, and despite some hiccups, the fans will still keep coming. And that's the disappointing thing for me, is when someone takes you for granted a little bit. And I think they've taken the fans for granted, and it's just not good enough.
Yeah. It's like all the things that will bring them more money in, i.e., club shop, which is fine, right? I absolutely agree. Adidas as kit makers, the club shop being done out, the new corporate and the new kind of higher category games experience. I get that, right? Because you want to bring more money in. I totally get that, but you still can't forget your true fan, and especially with some of the stuff that Chris Heck talked about in his lengthy interviews around the fan experience, and making sure that they keep it local, and they keep they keep the local fan at the heart of the club, and all that kind of wishy-washy crap. But you kind of felt like he meant it, and this sort of stuff just it's like a piggy bank, isn't it? And like,
Yeah.
you get credit in the piggy bank for the good stuff, but it doesn't take much for the plug at the bottom of the piggy bank to just come open, and all the coins will just drop out.
And the other thing is this, right? I talked about the point, obviously, that in fact they were looking at the weather wasn't particularly bad in terms of like rain, hail. If this was a Christmas game when everyone's wrapped up, it would be bad. If it's baking hot sunshine, it'd be bad. But Villa Park isn't the easiest ground to get to or away from. So if you've had and I mentioned this when I spoke to the Villa about some of my gripes, was it's about experience, customer experience. And if you're getting tripe on the pitch, now luckily we're not getting tripe on the pitch these days generally, so that's a really great thing in the positives column. But if you've had if you've got urine on the floor, if you can't get in the ground, if the price has gone up for the food and it's, I don't know, it's not cooked properly or it's not great, whatever, and then you can't get out the ground like quickly because the traffic's horrendous and the trains are crap, whatever, then that overall experience is funny, but I was gutted at the time for not going to the game because I desperately wanted to be there. And I even looked last minute at getting a ticket, but it was, I would have had to pay like well over 100 quid, and I could only get two, and I've got two kids, so it wouldn't have worked. But even then, I'm thinking if I'd have paid like well over 100 quid for two tickets, and then I'd had that experience, and then I'd be on the M5 for an hour to get home, you'd think, you know what, put the telly on, you know, cup of
Next
cup of
game we won't
cup of,
bother.
cup of
Yeah.
peppermint tea or a Peroni, whatever, however you're feeling, and get on with it. We should not be talking about this kind of stuff, but obviously we will.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, look, that's our piece on it, and great to get your comments on it as well. Everyone watching. Couple of nice humorous one from Gary to kind of end that segment. It's either Nico Williams or a new sewage security system.
Can
Which
I
one
just
you
ask?
go for?
Can I just ask, Gary? Do you think you'll get either a security or sewage system if you get the other Nico Williams? So if you get the one that is he at Forest? Is he? If you get
Yeah,
him,
yeah. The Wales left back.
yeah, you get like the team who wish Nico Williams, and then you can get one of either sewage or security system.
But the good Nico Williams, which one would you rather?
Um, well, let's put the question out there to all Villa fans. This is a great. Would you walk in your own urine knowingly because you get a great player? I mean, it's ridiculous, isn't it? Like, stop making people walk in their own bodily fluids and whatever that might be, and get people in the ground properly and serve them decent food and make sure that's his other brother, and Timmy Williams, and make sure they can get around from the ground properly. Just these various things would be nice.
Yeah,
Basics.
yeah. Adamski says we could look into League Two or National League and get a player who's also a plumber.
Great thinking,
Always
Adamski.
thinking Adamski. There you
Always
go.
thinking, yeah.
Uh, and also Mike has said, and I did see a comment earlier, so sorry I didn't read it out, but Villa are pushing to sign. Come on, you
Good luck.
say it, Kev. You're better at saying it than me.
Lutcherell Hertrude from
There we
Feyenoord
go.
before Friday, according to. Sorry, I kept going with that Steve McLaren accent there. According to Bev Mayer.
From Feyenoord before Friday, according to
Yeah,
at MJ Mart Star. I take it he's from the Daily Star. He's usually pretty good with the
yeah.
rumours.
Good.
So
That would be a
yeah,
good
that'll be
signing.
brilliant if we can. We just need to
Yeah.
get that one over the line, and I hope. Yeah, it's funny, isn't it? How like an injury kind of forces the hand of a club
Yeah.
to just like sod it. We better do it then.
I wonder if they would have done it anyway. For those that haven't, I mean, I don't know the ins and outs of this player really well. I wouldn't say I'm a regular watcher of Feyenoord, but I've looked into this player. I've like searched him out on the internet, and I tell you what, he looks like an absolute baller. So I would be delighted if we got this one over there. I'm gutted we didn't get Felix because I thought he would have been brilliant for us, what we were trying to do. But this is one I've also been quite excited about.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, it'd be
and then
really
we
good.
just want. Then it's like, well, we
Then
want
it
one
then it
more.
could be a loan. Then it could be a loan.
Yeah, it could be one more attacking player, and then this is the thing with we are literally only a right back, centre back, an attacking player, and working urinals away from being a proper club. From being a proper club,
Yeah, exactly,
that's it.
exactly.
Do you think Troy Deeney will have urinals of the week? Like, I mean,
Well, we're definitely not in there yet.
no, we're not. Definitely not. No,
No.
no.
The questions that I had on X were from Smedit Villain and comments, but I think we've covered most of them. He said Saturday gave him confidence in us finishing the top four. Think we matched Arsenal, then talk about the right back position, and hopefully our man from Feyenoord will be the man
Yeah,
to do that. DNVR has mentioned Oscar Gloak. I'm not sure where he play or who he plays for, but would be a great addition to Duty's range to play both flanks and a great option for McGinn or Yuri as a sub. Plus, he is a really young player, and he would also take a forward for Duran, Watkins backup or addition to either playing at the same time. And then other people talk about the ticketing and the obviously the facilities issue. One of the one of the comments that I do want to finish up on is from Lewis, and you're potentially going to do a show on this on Thursday, Kev. Champions League draw Thursday, 5 p.m. He is very excited, as we all are.
Are you more excited about that or your impending holiday?
Wow, yeah, it's a tough one.
Just so you
It's a
know,
tough one.
everybody,
To be-
Rich
to
can't be bothered to do the Champions League, the biggest thing that's happened for the club for 41 years. Where are you off to again?
Gran Canaria,
You have to Great. He'd rather go to Great. He's got Europe sorted for himself and his
yeah.
family.
To be honest, I've been sitting on a lying on a sun lounger, watching the draw come in. What more
Yeah.
could you ask for? But
I won't
what I
go
was going to
live.
say was,
I
who
won't go
I
live,
might
but
do actually, yeah.
well,
Who
I'll do a show later on. Yeah, Thursday night.
what teams would you? What teams are you wanting?
I want crap teams now because I don't want the coverage of the crap situation in the
Yeah,
toilets.
yeah.
A Bodo Glimt. No, look, it's a great question. I want a big boy club. I want
Away from home or home. Do you know what? I watched a bit of the Atletico Madrid game yesterday, and their stadium is unbelievable.
yeah, yeah.
Unbelievable Atletico Madrid stadium. I mean, there's some
I,
phenomenal stadiums that you could
Yeah,
play
I
in.
think if I have to pick a Barca, Bayern, Real, whatever, home or away, I think I'd pick the away. So you've got that sense of like going to that stadium, right? Not maybe not the fans, but the players, whatever. Um, but it would be good to get. You know what? This is a battle. Would you rather get the gimme? Would you rather get the worst team in Pot A? You know, etc. Although that kind of thing, whatever. Um, I want a big boy, and then I want probably a team that we've got a good chance of getting past.
So you get two from pot A, don't you? Two from pot two and
Yeah,
three and four, don't you?
yeah. One, two, three,
Uh,
four, isn't it?
yeah, and then so we've got 8 games in total. I'm just gonna see who's
Yeah.
what
Lu-
teams are in it so
Lewis
far.
has just put a good point there. Real Madrid at Villa Park give Jude some shit for being a blue nose. Could you imagine you just a shit Morgan Rogers ringing round Villa Park to Jude Bellingham? It would be epic, wouldn't it? When they're 2-0 down. Be great. Be great. Keep praying for that. Yeah, Barca, Bayern, Real Madrid. One of those. One of those. Um, there's also, we might come face to face with some teams we played before because I think Lille are going to be around. I think Olympiacos are they in it?
I'm not sure. I'm trying to find it now. Trying to find if anyone can point me to. Let me just have a look. I wouldn't mind Celtic, as well.
Yeah, that would be good, wouldn't it? Like a Battle of Britain sort of thing.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So one sec, have I got it here? Here we are, confirmed teams. I don't think I've got them in the actual pot. So, oh, here we are, pot one. City. By the way, I hate it when I say City because there's a lot of City teams in the world. Manchester City, Bayern Munich, Real Madrid, PSG, Liverpool, Inter Milan, Borussia Dortmund, Leipzig, and Barcelona. So, imagine that. Inter would be good considering the history we've got with
Yeah,
Inter.
yeah.
Where we got screwed over in the 1990, was it 91 game, whatever it was, when do you remember we beat them 2-0? Some Villa fans will haven't got a clue what we're talking about, but some of the older ones will. Um, Unbelievable game, wasn't it, Villa Park? I didn't go,
Yeah.
but Kent Nilsson scores a rocket. Gordon Cowan's played an unbelievable pass over the top of defence to Platty. We're 2-0 up. We lose 3-0 away, and their third goal was both,
Went out of play, didn't it?
and it was offside. Yeah, so we
Yeah.
got screwed. We got our revenge with Phil King and his penalty and a big Ron. But it'd be good to get a third in
So
the
we
trilogy.
can't get an English side. So pot one, obviously we know we can't get Man City or Liverpool.
Yeah, imagine
So
PSG and Real Madrid or something, or Bayern and Barca or something. Um, Pot two, you've got Leverkusen, Atletico Madrid, big teams in it. Atalanta, Juventus would be massive to get.
Benfica.
Benfica, but imagine getting Juve or Milan. Milan are in that pot
Mm,
along with Arsenal, Club Brugge, and Shakhtar Donetsk. I mean, there's some interesting ones in pot three. Feyenoord, I think, would be obviously a good one. Sporting, PSV Eindhoven, Celtic, Young Boys or Galatasaray. I don't know if that's been sorted out now. Dinamo Zagreb or Karabakh. I don't know if that's been sorted out now. And Lille or Slavia Prague. And then pot three or four.
imagine Galatasaray away.
Yeah, I mean, that would be crazy, wouldn't it? Stay at home fans. Um, And then pot 3 or 4, maybe this was to be decided when I saw this article, was Midtjylland or Slovan Bratislava, Bodo Glimt. Oh, Bodo Glimt got through. I think they did. Dynamo Kiev or Salzburg. And then the confirmed teams in pot 4, Monaco, Villa, Bologna, Girona,
Verona.
Stuttgart,
Yeah,
Sturm Graz,
Stuttgart are
Brest,
a decent side. Yeah,
Malmo, Sparta Prague.
yeah.
Yeah,
Mate, it's mouth watering, isn't it? It's absolutely mouth watering, and it's honestly, it's like pinch yourself time when you think about us potentially drawing Barcelona or Atletico or AC Milan or Real Madrid. It's unbelievable, isn't it?
it is. This is what it's all about. It's what it's all about. I just hope the fans can get in the stadium and we properly. Um, It's no, look, it's this is what football fans are waiting for their whole lives to have a bit of success as a team. Sure, we won a trophy, but in modern football now, finishing in the top four is kind of like getting a trophy, isn't it? You know, it's seen for a lot of teams as being more beneficial to the club than winning the Carabao Cup, for example. Maybe not for the day out for the fans, but you've got to make the most of it. And I really, really think with Emery at the helm, I really think we'll start to. I want a big boy sounds iffy. Yeah, probably absolutely. Signal me, Christa, signal me. Um, um, yeah, this is what it's all about. But I think will surprise a few people. I
Mm.
fancy us to get to the last stages. I think
Well, just
Emery's
that's what
got
I was going to finish up with. Was Rachel said, all we need to do is be ninth to 23rd, and not too worried about kind of how many games to win yet, because it's obviously that league ladder. But to get to that playoff point would be great, wouldn't it? And then
what a,
and then even to get through that to like the last 16 or something. And you think about the financial. I know again, like the glory would be fantastic. The European nights would be fantastic, but also it doesn't hurt in terms of winning games in it for a financial position for Aston Villa for going into next season as well.
absolutely not. Although I wonder whether if you finish in the top 8, you make more money to mean that you don't miss out on the revenue you get for the playoff
Well,
game.
yeah, I'm sure you would. Yeah,
So
you'd get.
forget ninth to 23rd. Let's finish fifth.
Yeah,
Let's win the group stages. Come on, Villa. Look, we've got a European legend. You know, a team that had not been in Europe for what best part of 15 years. He got to the semi-final of a European competition with at the end was a threadbare squad. Um, what he did got Villarreal to the Champions League semi-finals.
mm,
You know, 3 Europa Leagues in a row with Sevilla. We obviously won the Europa League as well with Villarreal. He's a European magician, and like we said, get Hitruder in, maybe get an attacking sign in, get Mings back. We've got a
Kamara
squad.
back.
Kamara back, absolutely. We've got a squad that I think that can compete in that competition. It's exciting
Yeah.
times. I mean, there's some of those names now saying it, but like we said, imagine you drew Celtic, Juve, Milan, Bayern. I mean, that's what we're talking about, isn't it? This is what we're talking about. I'm
Exactly.
excited thinking about it.
Yeah. Well, look, I don't think there's any better way to end the fans forum on that
Oh, I'm going to say
positive
finally,
note.
because I want to go to one of the games. If anyone wants to buy a kidney, um, I have had kidney stones, but I think it was one of the same ones. So I'll work out which is the good one. I'll put it on eBay. No, the tickets are going to be expensive, aren't they? I think they're going
Yeah,
to.
they are.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's Champions League nights. We will be here with with reaction to the draw. We'll also be here with Leicester previews and maybe some reaction to the transfer window, transfer talk rumors if we sell or sign new players. And as I said, Kev and Martin and the boys will be ably taking the lead while I'm away on my jollies for a few days. But I might make an appearance on the odd show here and there. Make sure, guys, you hit that like button and hit that subscribe button. Hopefully, we've gone past 4,600 tonight. I haven't looked, but hit the like button on your way out. Help spread the word of the channel. We're on the road to 5,000 subscribers. I do want to do a special competition at 5K as well. So the quicker we get there, the quicker we get the competition in full flow. Thank you, everyone, for watching. We'll be back later this week with plenty more shows. And as always, remember, we all follow the Villa.